long, hard Saturday night that topped off a long, rugged...
Yeah.
When I finally got to bed dog-tired at 5 a.m. Sunday morning, I was planning to stay there until I'd caught up on all the sleep I'd lost and gained a running head start on the coming
year.
And by 3 in the afternoon on
New Year's Day,
I figured that job was only about half done. But whoever it was that started riding my doorbell had a different idea. I held out until the buzzer stopped, but it was only
Shawn Windsor.
So I gave up.
You ass interrogator, try to bring it out of my face. Gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Happy New Year, kids. It's your old pal, ML Elric, a year older, but still none wiser, with another episode of ML Soul of Detroit. And I am joined by Mark Fellhauer, who is still recovering from some trauma.
And I actually am a year older today. I mean,
that's right. It's your
birthday.
birthday.
A year older. It's not your birthday.
No, but well, it's Happy New Year, right? Or what was the broken toy from the Christmas thing? Did he say Happy Birthday every year?
Oh, Frosty said Happy Birthday.
Is it Frosty?
Every time he came to life. Yeah.
Okay, right. So.
Oh well, that faded out nice.
It's maybe his hat flew off.
I'm sorry.
Forgot how to do everything.
I was distracted. Somebody
I know,
just,
you've been reading nonstop.
No, somebody just sent me something that they Googled my name and it comes
Oh
up
my
as
God.
a serial killer in Louisville.
So
what the hell?
Listener Kevin was paying attention to our advice column, our advice episode that aired last week in our recent shows, and he says, after the profound comment about Googling names, I put my favorite hosts through the test. Do not Google Shawn Windsor. I included a screenshot of the results. After hearing his pro-cheating rants, I had my Methodist sensibilities.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to throw him in prison.
And Google accused him of, well, look for yourself. Keep up the good work, guys. And if you go to Google and you type in Shawn Windsor, SHAWN Windsor, it says Detroit Free Press columnist. That's true. He's Twitter. There's something on Murderpedia, and on the right it says this about Shawn Windsor. Shawn William Windsor is an American man convicted of killing his estranged wife, Betty Jean Windsor, and son, Corey Windsor, in Louisville, Kentucky in 2003. The only thing that's not accurate is it has your age as 59 when I know you to be several thousand years old, just based on
Oh, my God.
enthusiasm.
I've been waiting for at least a decade for that thing to go away.
This is the first. Oh, no.
So you know about
before.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the first time somebody's. I was alerted to this a long time ago. I maybe even found it a long time ago looking for a story.
So you're waiting for expungement? What are you waiting for?
No, I don't want.
Mutation?
His photo used to come up. Does his photos? I don't know if it still comes up. His photo.
It's there for Murderpedia.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was at least helpful. But still, to have that, side by side is yeah.
He's still on death row. Maybe we can get him on the show.
Oh, nice.
Well, it'll be a collect call, but
the pro cheating rant. Come on, my man didn't listen.
My favorite thing about it is maybe 15 minutes before we started, ML said, "Hey, I'm sending you guys an email. Check it out." Blah blah blah. You clearly didn't check it out until we went live on the air.
No, I checked that out right before.
yeah.
You
So
were okay right before.
You were sending me a conversation between the two of you. So all this inside stuff about, I guess, somewhere else we're going to talk about. And
maybe the Michigan game. I don't know.
yeah, it was the Michigan
was
game
about,
and targeting and all this sort of thing. Yeah.
So does
Mark
Ann,
was being high-minded. You were not. That was the gist.
does
of the
Ann know?
exchange.
Do the boys know?
About that there's a
About
guy.
Betty Jean?
That there's a guy out there.
No.
No, Betty
Did you ever
Jean.
see The Stepfather with Terry O'Quinn?
No.
Great. It's a series of movies.
When did it come out? 1930.
No. This is some buddies of mine in college who watch it. He's a guy who marries usually a woman with children, and he's trying to build. Well, first he married and had kids, and they disappointed, so he killed them all. So then he remarries, and he marries a great woman. She turns out to be have kids, and then he tries to build the perfect family, and then at some point they disappoint him, and so he murders them all. Then he goes out and he marries, and it's a whole series. And I thought it was fictional, but now that I see Shawn's past, it's almost a documentary.
What's my past?
No,
Betty Jean and Corey disappointed you. You
What's my
murdered
past?
them, and then you married Ann and started a whole new family.
What's my 30 years ago? What's my past?
Well, there could be some butterfly effect in here. I don't know.
I do want to say Stepfather, by the way, is based on John List, that murder. I don't know if you know that story about that murder. He, by the way, went to Michigan. I just wanted to point that out. Only because we've talked about
Michigan,
it.
yeah!
But that guy has, he's from, I want to say he's from here, and then killed his family, and then had another family and moved on. I mean, it's a fascinating story. I didn't know that they made a movie
Quinn is
on it.
from here, too.
No, I just want to let me just say this last thing. All three of us, I assume, have known people that have
Murdered?
No, not that. No, have had
Never done a podcast with
had
him.
relationships outside their main relationship, however you want to describe that. It's love the sin, love the sin or hate the sin, whatever it is. That's the idea. You don't just discard people because of that. That was my only point in that whole advice thing. Mike would. You'd throw everybody in prison. You know people. I know you know people.
Shawn is trying so hard to excuse cheating. There's got to be a story.
It has nothing to do with that.
Ann, are you listening?
It's like anything else. You just don't discard people because of mistakes they make.
I'm a big fan of ice pick in the back of the neck.
Like my dad. So yeah, you don't.
I would never ice pick your dad.
You know what I mean?
I don't think I could.
Think about it this way too, though. Remember Gary Hart? His career,
monkey business
was done.
Gary Hart Pence.
His career was done once that came out.
But it wasn't.
Donna Rice,
wasn't
right?
Because of the cheating, although that didn't help. It was because he
Lying
said,
about it. Yeah.
he's like,
Come
come
follow
and
me."
get me. Right. If you got something, bring it. And I think it was the hubris that brought him down as much
that
as
didn't
anything
help.
else.
But obviously
Tell you what,
that
that
doesn't
happens-
make a difference now.
That happens today. No, he'd still be.
Of course he would. I mean,
No,
We've
Clinton's
come a long way.
Clinton's like, I didn't inhale.
Well, Trump
and
was-
then you
I
got
mean, Trump
Obama. He's
was-
like, yeah, I did blow. I'd like to be a president.
and Trump,
and he was.
there you
There you go.
It's the worst Obama impersonation I've
Trump
ever
was
heard.
accused of
I thought
that.
it was.
It was terrible.
Well, Mark,
It was,
here's,
it was a cross between George W. Bush and Obama.
here's what you don't understand, Mark, about
You got to go a little deeper, more staccato.
President Obama.
Sean, you want to?
He likes to be sure about what he's saying because what he has to say is worth hearing.
No. I just say, please Google, take this dude away.
I will say, Shawn, whatever you've been doing,
And it's the same spelling too. That's
what's great about it.
That's the worst part.
you're aging very well. I mean,
Not really.
you look much better than you did while you were in prison
Oh, thank you.
for cheating.
Well, this is what you would do, I guess.
No, I told you how.
No,
I did.
you make this when we get to the later in the show to get to New Year's resolutions. The idea that you want us to have resolutions for you is so fucked up, and that's the whole point of that's all I want to talk about. But it explains everything. That's how you run your life. You want to run everybody else's life. But why are we getting into that? That's my point from a week ago. God,
Boy, I really
stop worrying about other people's shit.
I'm reminded of how little I missed you over the past week, but you did have an exciting trip out to the desert.
Oh my God.
Where perhaps you got into a medicine tent and did some dreamscaping and found a new consciousness.
It's a little further west.
Oh, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't go there. Unfortunately, I was watching Michigan State's bowl game, which was a replay of a previous year's bowl game. But we do, before we get into this, need to thank a couple people who make all of this necessary. That's Luke Nowacki of Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. If you're freaking out about your 401k and your retirement planning, let Luke take care of that. And if you need some dough now, David Hall can help you with Hall Financials. Many, many options to put dough in your pocket. We're going to tell you more about that in a minute. But first, Mark and I did exchange some messages on.
Wait a second, Mark. You were all queued up there, Mark.
It's okay. Okay. We're fine.
Okay.
We're good.
And I want to apologize live
You don't have. I didn't want.
For-
I didn't need an apology. I
for
think
saying that.
I think
I didn't want Michigan to win, but that was targeting. That
I think
I should have left out the first part.
I
That
think
was
people expected me to be like just apoplectic after the loss. I was bummed. It sucked. They were out schemed. They were out coached. They didn't execute very well. Still had a chance to win. But I mean, I don't know. It's a pretty damn good season. It sucked the way it ended, but what are you gonna do? And so then that's when I got that text from you. But I wasn't mad at you for what you said. I was just pointing out the difference. Right, Shawn?
well. But here's the point.
Mark, can you explain to the listeners what the difference is, please, Mr. Host?
I don't see a difference because here's a guy who says we're
Give the context.
We're more
For a
mature.
No, I'm just gonna read. No, that's not what I said.
Please give the context.
I'll just read it.
Well, as an older brother,
just
you
read
should
it.
be more mature.
But go ahead and
There's a text I got 8:00 on Sunday. So this is
Cherry
right as the
pick.
game is ending. I want U of M to lose, but that was targeting, no question. Now my first thought when I saw it was, I don't care about the targeting call. Like that just,
There were 25 seconds left, and they were there.
It didn't matter, in my opinion. It would have been nice to see the game go on because anything can happen. But
I think if they had a couple more shots down the field, and if they'd managed the clock right, they would have had many more shots down the field. But I think they still could have won.
How did they
game.
mismanage the clock?
They should have called timeouts much sooner.
Then if you can't do that, well, we can get into that in a minute. But Mark, go ahead and finish.
I'm kind of on the same page with you there. I didn't mind that he saved it, but once they got the first down, he should have called it a lot quicker because then they lost about 30. But you're talking 20 to 30 seconds. Anyway, 8 o'clock. I wanted Michigan to lose, but that was targeting no question. I just wrote, and there's the difference. I rooted for State when they were in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I did not expect to enjoy that game as much as I did. The first half was great.
But why
the second half was great.
And let me just explain why I rooted for Michigan State, because I remember this very clearly. Remember Joanna, right? Huge Michigan State fan that we worked with at 105.1.
Yes.
Was going to those games. And it was like, well, why would I don't care if they win or lose, because I have friends that are Spartan fans. This will mean the world to them. What does it do for me
Here's
if they
the real
lose?
question. Later Saturday night, I assume you watched part of Georgia and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Did you root for Ohio State?
I guess I would say I wasn't rooting for them, no, but I didn't care. I swear to God, I didn't care. And that's what ML pointed out in that text. I said, look, I have more friends that went to Michigan State than I do Ohio State. So once again, it does nothing for me either way.
So Michigan State fans.
So you're a sociopath, is what you're saying.
Michigan
I just
State
only care
fans.
Nothing does anything for you.
I'm just narcissistic. I just care about how it affects me.
Well, narcissism is a part of sociopathy. So,
But I just
Whoa, now who's busting out the big words?
I feel like you wanted Michigan. You wanted me to be upset because you wanted Michigan to lose.
No, I
wasn't
didn't
very
want you to
nice.
be upset. I felt bad because I felt like I had said something that
didn't,
was
though. I was
not
fine.
kind when I meant to send a note that said, hey, dude,
No, I know.
I agree that was targeting. And if I think it's targeting, it's got to be targeting because I would have
'Cause
turned
you're
my
always
back on any penalty called on.
because if I think anything, then that's the case. And I don't mean I mean you.
I knew it wasn't.
I'm changing my resolution suggestion for you to don't be so judgy.
I knew it wasn't targeting
But I'm going to
because
save that. I'm going to save that.
Michigan just can't win a review for the life of them.
Well, they also
whole-
should have. They should
this
have had that
whole year.
completion reviewed where your boy trapped
But
it.
they snapped it pretty quick.
No, I know they did.
Go, Joe.
I know they did. But I'm just saying the calls go both ways, and when you're that far superior team, it shouldn't come down to a call once or twice. And yeah, so you're on the half-yard line. Well, then pound it in, punch it
No,
in.
you're right.
So-
They didn't execute.
But I want to go back to what the difference is. Here's the difference. Michigan State fans can be obnoxious and at times incendiary, involving living room furniture, but not arrogant. And the few moments when we were arrogant there on our run, we paid for it immediately, which was a good reminder. Now, here's Michigan fans, Hunter Dick Hedinson, who's talking shit about Michigan State a couple weeks ago, then gets smoked against Central Michigan, and then his team gets beat. Well, when you're beat by Central Michigan
It's a
at
terrible
home,
loss. I wouldn't say smoked.
that's a beating. Well, losing by 1 point hurt just as much, I'm sure, as if they, or maybe more than if they'd been run out of the gym. Then all this, we're so superior, blah, blah, blah. Then they get beat by a team they were looking past. You didn't see the Hunter Dickinson stuff?
No, I did. Yeah.
I mean,
how
how
old is Hunter Dickinson?
I'm assuming at least 35,
Can't
right?
believe
He's
he
been there
just-
for 10 years.
How old are you?
Me?
Well, not very old, but
20.
based on what he just used to describe his last name or the word he inserted in the middle of that, the extra syllable he just added.
Well, he's got a good head on his shoulders.
My God, what are we in the Skip Bayless show?
They do very well, by the way. Could you turn into Shannon Sharp, please?
I feel like you
I'm not a Hall
expend.
of Fame tight end.
I feel like you expend far more energy.
Veterans Committee could put you in.
I think you spend way more energy hating Michigan than you do
Loving Michigan
pulling for
State.
your own team.
Oh, no, that's not true. That's not true. I'm just saying
Feels that way.
You said, here's the difference. And I'm telling you, this is the difference, is you have obnoxious, arrogant Michigan fans saying shit. And so we don't cheer for Michigan.
I've never thought of Mark that way. Have you ever thought of Mark that way as obnoxious and arrogant?
I'm saying Michigan fans. Mark's
He's
not-
a Michigan fan. He's a Michigan
I-
alum.
He's
I think you're
he's
viewing
born
it-
in Columbus.
I think you're
he's-
viewing it through the prism of Twitter, to which you invite a lot of that stuff.
No, I don't. I'm happy to not engage. I didn't say shit to any
love it.
Michigan
I love
people
it. God,
on
Mark
Twitter
always-
about the game. I didn't say anything to anybody on Twitter about the Michigan game.
Well, I'm glad your Horned Frogs won for your sake. I'm glad you were happy.
You know which Michigan college beat the Horned Frogs in a bowl game, of course.
Oh yeah, because that's relevant.
That was your Michigan State Spartans.
Yeah.
Very, very good record in bowl games, by the way, as opposed to the other team. The best, the greatest university on the face of the Jupiter galaxy.
There it is again.
Whatever it is.
There it is again. Reveling in Michigan's failures instead of State's
No, just
successes.
pointing out.
I'm just pointing it out too.
The arrogance.
So,
I'm going to start pointing out your inferiority complex that you have over this.
how painful was this?
You're
really,
intimidated
Mark?
by my superiority.
And was it painful
is
in
this
part
a jujitsu move?
because you felt like, as a Michigan fan, there was a real chance at not just a semifinal win, but a national championship.
Oh,
and that they don't come around very often.
And I mean, it was perfectly set up for Michigan, right? That's the draw you want, where you want it, and everything. I don't know. I was very disappointed. I was pissed off during the game, mainly because a team that has executed so well for 13 games apparently forgot how to play football. And that's why it was painful.
But Michigan had some tough halves because they do very well in the second half. But they struggled in the first half against Michigan State. They struggled against a lot of teams in the first half. They struggled against
Rutgers.
They struggled against Illinois. I mean, this is a team that showed that it had some vulnerabilities.
I disagree.
And I don't know whether TCU watched more of that film than anybody else, but they certainly exposed a lot of what they needed to do to win. I mean, did Michigan ever lead in that game?
No. And I think it was more because TCU runs a defense that they haven't seen, and you have a quarterback who has never seen that defense and threw 2 terrible pick sixes. They were just bad throws. They were bad decisions.
They were bad decisions, not bad throws.
Oh, they were behind. I mean, on an out like that, you can't throw it short. You got to throw both
the first one. He just didn't see he didn't see the defensive back on either time. It wasn't like the primary back made the.
You're right. No, the primary cover guy. Yeah,
primary cover guy.
You're right, but you can't throw it short on an out like that. You just because of that fact.
Well, I don't know that it was short. He just maybe didn't have enough velocity on it or whatever. But it wasn't short. It was just. Yeah.
He did not play well.
Who?
McCarthy.
What?
Great.
He was the best player you guys had.
He played great. He was the only reason it even had a chance. What are you watching?
I think he was bad. I think he was back to being very indecisive at times.
The TCU defense.
He threw for 340 yards. They scored 39 points in the second half. He had one drive where he ran for the whole drive on 2 runs.
Sure.
He
Put him back in the game.
He threw a half a dozen throws, just threading in the needle with NFL velocity. I mean,
when the game was close,
he played great.
I don't think he played that well when the game was close.
Except for those 2 throws with receivers who consistently could not get separation unless there was double moves and Ronnie Bell and those guys getting behind the defense. But every single time it was a third down or whatever, and they need to make a play, not every single time, but a lot of times, the receivers could not get separation, which remains the single biggest issue of this offense. They do have NFL-level playmakers there.
I don't think he played that well.
Every other team does. That's the best statistical game he's had. They had 39 points in the second half. How much more do you want? Points or stats?
How many yards?
Those weren't empty points.
How many yards did Kelvin Johnson put up on a very bad team?
They had 39
coverages
points.
are different. No, I
didn't
say he was terrible. I didn't think he played that well. He threw 2 pick sixes on bad decisions.
And the offense ran all over TCU.
They had no running game.
The 2 picks that TCU threw were deflections. I mean, they disarmed Mozzie Smith. Pause for laugh track. No, okay. Anyway, but the offense was trucking U of M.
They ran the ball is what they did. I mean, Max Duggan
with
did.
Their backup
Max Duggan played worse than he was missing guys.
That's the other side of the ball, but yeah,
he was missing guys. McCarthy with no running game played the best game of his career, other than those 2 decisions.
I don't know about that.
He's a first-year starter against a difficult defense that he hadn't seen much. And I thought he balled out and gave him a chance.
I was telling you before the show, that game is encapsulated in one play. Michigan comes back. They scored, 2 touchdowns?
They also lost their best tight end.
In 50 seconds. And, they're down 3. They make 2 great defensive plays. It's 3rd and 7. They call it a good play. TCU called a better play. And they're 2 really good players. Probably the best player on their team, Quentin Johnson, the wide receiver.
Yeah, he's good.
Made a great play and took off. And they had nobody in coverage. And that They were out schemed on that play, and they were out executed.
Look, we were talking about luck earlier, and health and all that sort of thing. And do you have players? I mean, Blake Corum, I think, would have made a difference in the red zone in particular.
Every team has injuries.
If you can't run the ball at all,
sure,
then it's really hard to score in the red zone, and that was really the biggest difference in the game. But here's another thing about luck with McCarthy. He was injured and missed spring training. Then he had to battle it out in the fall because he didn't get the reps, right? If he hadn't missed a spring,
he would have been starter.
Then he would have been the starter. Uh-huh. And so the whole year and the rhythm of the whole year is changed because of that. That's just bad luck with health, right?
Yeah, but every team has bad luck. Every team gets lucky.
No,
TCU's starting running back got knocked out in the first half.
Every team doesn't have bad luck. The teams that win the title usually have the good luck.
Yeah, but good teams
or the superior depth where you have all these 5-star guys waiting for a chance to get in the game.
And even that doesn't always matter.
I just want to.
Alabama lost Jamison Williams last year and couldn't score and couldn't move the ball all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
Even though they had a freshman 5-star guy come in for him.
Yeah. Well, that's why you play the games,
right?
Yeah.
But to say that you don't need your best players to win is just, oh God. Next man up. Anybody who's ever coached knows it's a bunch of shit. Next man up. Well, there's a reason the guy in the first man up's playing.
Yeah, that's true. Michigan State had next man up and went on a 4-game losing streak. So yeah, that's if you don't have the depth, that's a problem. But if you do have the depth, you have somebody who goes in there and gives you a chance.
I just go ask your boys up there, the basketball team, how they've been without
Malik Hall.
And then when they didn't have Jaden Akins for a few games either, yeah, they're nowhere near the same team.
Well, they also only have 11 guys as opposed to 100.
My point is just every team goes through adversity like that.
Yeah, Corum was out and Edwards went to town in Columbus. I mean,
he had two.
Where
long,
was he?
He had 2 long runs. They didn't really run that ball, run the ball that well. They didn't against Purdue. No, not Purdue. That was last year. Who'd they play in the Big Ten?
Illinois. Before that.
No, in the Big Ten title game. No, that was Purdue.
They played Purdue.
That was Iowa the year before. Yeah, got all these awful teams coming out of the West.
Iowa, who is still looking for a quarterback. Hopefully McNamara will help them. But they won 21-0. You're like, wow, Iowa finally finds a quarterback. Turns out it was two more defensive touchdowns. Iowa's just trash.
Look, they had a good year. Here's my question: Is Harbaugh gone?
Oh well, I mean, if you look at every report, yeah. As soon as Denver offers him, he's gone. I mean,
could you say it's a great year if you want your program to be on the level of the Bama and Ohio State and all those guys? If you lose your final game to a team you're favored to beat?
Well, yeah.
It's a great year.
It was a great year, yeah. They won the Big Ten. That was the most wins they've had in a season.
Harbaugh
I think it's a good year.
If you're one of those people
really
that's like year. Championship or bust, then I'm sorry for you. That's
no,
tough.
you don't have to win the title, but it's tough when you lose to a team. You were saying before we got on the air that you thought Michigan had way more talent.
I do. I think from top to bottom they have more talent than TCU. So TCU has 4 really, really good players: the 2 corners, the wide receiver, and the quarterback. And those 4 guys all made big plays. So, it is what it is. It sucks, and they should have won.
Well, their arrogance
but you know
took them down. They looked past TCU. Their coach let them talk all that shit before the game. Harbaugh does not have control of these guys.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
He does. He just lets them run their mouth. They say stupid shit. Sometimes it makes a difference in a close game.
I don't think so.
Well, you guys keep disrespecting
the TCU players sure said it made a difference afterwards.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, they were there. So
they're fired up.
The truest thing about the game is what Sonny Dykes, the TCU coach, said afterwards. We controlled the line of scrimmage. We were the more physical team, and they were.
There you go. Yeah.
Well,
it's amazing how often it makes the difference.
I was surprised because I think of the Big 12 like that one Michigan guy was. What conference? I mean, I think of the Big 12 as a joke. I never think of them playing defense. Whenever I see somebody who's a defensive player from the Big 12 who's a high draft pick, I'm like, they don't play defense. That's like a basketball conference, but they sure as hell.
It's the first time they've had a team in the title game, and it was the first time they had a team in the semis in a while, right?
I think Oklahoma.
Oklahoma was the only one, right? But it's been a minute for Oklahoma, hadn't it? 3-4 years.
Baker Mayfield, wasn't he the last one?
Probably, yeah.
And was he got 3 or 4 years ago? Yeah. But, well, tell me what it was like to be there, Shawn, because we were talking a little bit about the volume. Now, from what I saw at home, was J.J. McCarthy's girlfriend and a bunch of TCU fans. But there was one point in the game, I think it was early in the second half, where the Michigan fans were so loud, I thought they were just going to just blow everybody else out of the building.
They did.
And then there was a quick turn.
They did make some noise.
And then it kind of got quiet again. But I mean, I thought Michigan was pretty well represented in Arizona.
Well, no, they had half the stadium. What's always interesting, not interesting, but just a little odd about a setting like that to me, is Phoenix is not necessarily a great sports town. They like the Suns. They support the Suns, the hockey, whatever. The Coyotes are there.
Playing in a 5,000
and the Diamondbacks and the baseball, when they're good, they support them. But it's not a great football town. They don't necessarily love the Cardinals. They're not a homegrown team. And Phoenix has a lot of people from other places. So it's an
area of transplant.
It's a little bit like Atlanta, which is not a great sports town. Although it's becoming a little bit better. But that's what's always odd to me is you have this huge event in a town that's not necessarily a great football town, but because the fans were all imported, you can kind of surpass that. Not surpass it, but get beyond that. And the atmosphere was actually great. And it's TCU, and their fans are, it's the first time they've been in the playoff. They're not used to this. They've had a couple of good teams in the last decade or so. But their fans were it was fun walking through their tailgates to get to the stadium. They were just living it up.
College football fan bases are far more similar from school to school, and they are different. They are.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's a little bit different because there's still some regional difference in this country, so their fans were a little bit more dressed up.
Yeah, they all have different traditions.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just a little more conservative, a little more...
more stupid hats in the South.
The cuts and so forth. What was fun is the hotel I was staying at was full of fans from both schools.
Oh, really? Were they going at?
And I was getting that night or the next.
Happens at the Motel 6.
Yeah, late at night. I was getting in an elevator to go up, and the elevator opens up, and there are a couple of Michigan fans in the back, and I'm standing with 3 or 4 TCU fans, and they start to walk in as soon as the elevator opens up, and they look and they see the Block M all over the shirts, and they pause for a second and say, "Too soon." Because they didn't know if they should get in and actually if the Michigan fans were going to be okay to share an elevator with TCU fans after that. And everybody laughed and they had fun and it was all good sportsmanship, so that was good.
And the Michigan fans said, "What are these Horned Frogs doing with that murderer, Shawn Windsor? We didn't know he'd gotten out already."
Yeah, I think he's in Louisville on death row, right?
Mm-hmm. I have no idea. I just know.
Or maybe he's from Louisville.
He continues to inflict his.
Oh God! Couldn't his name at least? Why didn't his parents spell it SEAN?
Your middle name isn't William though, is it?
No, it's Michael.
Okay, all right.
Nice doxing yourself.
Yeah, no, it's not Michael.
We'll talk to the good people at Google and try and get that straightened out. So what happens next? Now we have a big basketball
Harbaugh
game.
goes to the NFL. Is that what happens next?
Sure sounds like it.
I don't know. He said last December that he's
every
staying,
year.
right?
That doesn't mean anything.
But I heard somebody saying on another station that that I think actually it was John Jansen saying that he fulfills every contract that he signs. That when he was looking at Minnesota, his contract was up. That when he was with the 49ers, he fulfilled his contract. And people were complaining that Harbaugh hasn't said, I'm a Michigan man, I'm going to stay here. And Jansen's take was, well, if he says that, then every time another thing comes up, he has to say it again, which I thought was asinine because if you say it once, you just say, I refer you to my earlier comments. You just tell people, hey, this is it. And I would think...
Earlier comments mean nothing.
But I mean, at least it gives you a dodge where you can say, I said I'm staying. Until you see otherwise, you got to trust me. But I think it would be a shame for Michigan if he left because I think he's finally got the program where he said he would bring it. And I think that they're getting a lot of talent and they've got the coaches that are making that talent perform. Now, whether they're holding them accountable or not is another question. But Mark, you were saying you were worried that when his assistant head coach went to, was it Coastal Carolina or University of Charlotte or something?
When Biff Poggi left.
Yeah, that this is kind of,
weapon,
he's like the Harbaugh whisperer, and that when he went, that may be some of the magic
but
left
Harbaugh's
town
dealt
too.
with plenty of people leaving, coaches moving on.
Yeah, but they lose and they don't win. I mean, although this season would be the exception, right? I mean, he's turned over coaches and it hasn't made a difference. He did lose that great defensive coordinator and then replaced him with someone who did equally well.
Well, he lost Josh Gaddish, too.
And the offense did really well, too. Yeah. So, of late, he's been doing better replacing those key guys. But tell people a little bit about who this Poggi is, because it's a fascinating story. I don't think we've talked enough about who this dude is, because he's really it's kind of an amazing success story.
It could take me years to talk about him, but yeah, no, he was kind of the guy that, after that COVID year, Harbaugh said, I got to change stuff. And Shawn, you've always said he's been a guy willing to change, which is
absolutely
very unusual in the world of college football.
But he was a businessman.
He was
who became a high school coach for like 20 years.
Yeah, and he played college football at Pittsburgh and then coached and was like, I gotta make some money. Made a ton of money after Black Monday in 1987 and then decided to go back to his love of coach. He's a fascinating guy. But he came in after the 2020 season and said to Harbaugh, he said, look, stay out of these meetings with your offense and your defense. I'll report back to you. And kind of was the coach's coach in a way. And that seemed to, the proof is in the record, right? Seemed to change things around.
And was he gone by the time the CFP came around? I mean, has he been off campus?
I would assume he
right, because he's getting ready for his season.
Next gig.
Yeah. So is this a sign of what the university is going to be like without him?
Oh, I don't think so. No. I think it's too big of a leap to say that. I mean, who knows? This is the thing. We've been through these Harbaugh watches before. Nobody knows anything until it's done. It's all going to be noise.
So that sounds like Trump, right? Nobody knows.
I wouldn't necessarily call Harbaugh Trump. Just better hair for one thing. But
he did this last year with the Vikings. So
well, he would have gone if they'd offered him the job. Right?
You're right, and that's the question: is Denver going to offer him? Or are they going to offer Sean Payton? Whatever.
Carolina.
What? The Panthers?
Yeah,
really?
Gross. I saw that.
Do you want to go there?
I don't know.
It seems like
Sean had some good barbecue there. I heard that may be one reason to go there, right?
I did.
I just hope he makes a decision sooner rather than later, or they make a decision and offer him sooner rather than later.
That would be good
because it's annoying.
Well,
it's about me.
It is.
That's the difference.
I thought I made that point earlier.
That is the difference.
That's the difference.
You did.
As Tom Izzo once said, it's about you, not about us.
Well, when it comes to fandom, it is.
That's not how it works in Ann Arbor.
You could say that about anything in life, right?
I suppose
if you wanted to.
I guess. Well, let's tell people how to
survive doing a podcast with a couple of narcissists. Yeah, let's tell them.
Shut up, man.
Wow,
you're the worst, you murderer. What do you want to hear about Hall?
At least we don't have a narrow urethra.
Yeah, how come you haven't told me about that hat, by the way?
Yeah, ML is wearing a leopard print Michigan State Spartan hat. It's leopard print with the what was that? The Spartan guy. Does he have a cute name? Was it Sparty?
It could be a cheetah hat, but I would never call the Spartans cheetahs. This is something I saw at the Rally House in East Lansing and admired, and then on Christmas Day I found it under the tree.
I can see why you admired it.
I should tell people I found it in the women's section. So I just want you to know that I'm that comfortable in my masculinity that I'll wear any chapeau.
But I can see why you admired it. Are those new glasses, by the way?
No, these are.
You're looking, fetching today.
I don't. I want to be judged by my mind, Shawn.
Okay.
If that's which I understand is a toxic den of narcissism, narcissitude. So So no, judge me on my appearances. Maybe I'm not as vile to the eye as I am to the soul. But there are people who can help you get ready for your future while Jim Harbaugh ponders his future. And the guy I call first would be Luke Nowacki.
Yeah, Luke. I mean, new year, new things you might want to purchase. It's a good time to get your finances straightened. So see where you are going to be in a year from now, right? Everybody's got future goals. Luke Nowacki and his team at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies, they're going to help you plan for all those financial goals, both today, both through 2023, and well into the future. So give Luke a call today, 248-663-4748. It's a free consultation. He's going to talk to you about what you want to do, where you're going with all your money, where your investments are, and get you on the right path to make your plan align with your goals.
And because, you call Luke, there's one thing you can count on him doing, and that's to make it all about you, sweetheart.
It is all about me.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRAS.PC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Now, if you're looking for a new house or perhaps a big house or just to get some cash out of your house, we recommend that you give Mr. David Hall of Hall Financial a call.
Yeah, not to mention, I'm sure people have massive credit card debt now after the holidays, and it's very important to become debt-free, and Hall Financial can help you do that. And one of those ways is the cash-out refinance from Hall Financial. Use the equity in your home to pay off a high-interest credit card debt or any other debt you might have. It is also a free consultation. It's a 5-minute mortgage review with Hall Financial. That's all it's going to take to get you and your family in a better position for 2023. Get the money you need now with a cash-out refinance from Hall Financial. 866-CALL-HALL or chat with them online at callhallfirst.com.
And if you want to find a link to our sponsors' websites, go to our website. That's mlsoulofdetroit.com. We'll have a link there, and you can connect with them. And when you do, please let them know that ML sent you. And if you want to see my fetching hat and you're not watching us on YouTube right now, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Soul of Detroit. When you sign up, you can like our and follow our site, which we really appreciate. But you can also sign up for alerts, so you always know when we're going live or post new content, which is good because we don't always know when we're going live. So that's one way that you can always be in the loop.
Okay.
So a couple of things that we're going to talk about a little later in the show. We're going to talk about our New Year's resolutions.
A little later. I think we're already late in the show.
For ourselves and for each other. Patience would be one, a late candidate for Shawn. And we're going to talk about my column looking back at the biggest political bums of 2022. And we have some suggestions from our listeners for who should make that list. But first, we want to tell you about a little feature we call Geek of the Week.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
You know, we were also going to talk about a topic, and we'll get to that probably not in Geek of the Week, because I don't know if that's an appropriate connection to make. But last night, you know, we do the show on Tuesdays. Monday Night Football, there was a tragedy on the field that had all of us kind of gasping. And it reminded me of something I witnessed firsthand. But we're going to make this a little cliffhanger. We're going to talk about that when we get done with our Geek of the Week, because I got to get to something that drives me crazy. Second Amendment is the law of the land. You are allowed to carry a gun in public in certain circumstances. You can carry it concealed. You can carry it on your person. There's all sorts of rules for this. There's all sorts of laws for this, and we can debate them, and we can do all this other stuff. But I got to tell you, Rico Marley really went too far. Just 2 days after 10 people were killed at a Colorado grocery store, Mr. Marley was arrested as he emerged from a bathroom at a grocery store in Atlanta. He was wearing body armor, carrying 6 loaded weapons, 4 handguns in his jacket pockets and in a guitar bag, and a semi-automatic rifle and 12-gauge shotgun. Now, this would alarm anybody who saw somebody walking through a grocery store if it hadn't been just in the wake of a massacre in a grocery store. So an Instacart driver calls a store employee and says, hey, I saw a guy in the bathroom with an AR-15 style rifle propped against a wall. And, so kind of, 911. The Publix, which was the supermarket, gets evacuated. Everybody gets cleared out. Mr. Marley is arrested. They go through the process. There's all these charges. And this whole thing is playing itself out. I just want to tell you, regardless of how you feel about the Second Amendment and your rights, it's probably a good idea to be prudent and to not do things that would scare the shit out of everybody around you. I got no problems with guns. I like shooting guns. I'm a pretty good shot. I just don't think that we need to...
Are you saying you shouldn't go grocery shopping with
this hat, I'm the Annie Oakley of the podcast.
You shouldn't go grocery shopping with, 4 handguns I think he had, AR-15, body armor, everything. You shouldn't go grocery shopping like that?
I'm thinking that if you're going to go out and about and part of his defense was he was on his way to someplace else and he just had picked some of this stuff up.
Okay.
I think maybe you want to make that stop like you would stop at home to drop off your stinky gym gear before you might go out in public. So if you're armed to the teeth, exercising your Second Amendment rights, we respect that. But just as kind of like a courtesy to your fellow shoppers, don't go in there looking like you're going to murder everybody right after somebody murdered everybody. And it turns out this is a phenomenon that happens all the time. I think we might be able to get past some of our Second Amendment debates and differences if people could just be a little respectful of their fellow shoppers. So whatever the courts are going to decide for Mr. Rico Marley, you've already been judged and convicted of being our Geek of the Week.
Can I nominate somebody for Geek of the Week too?
Is it Shawn?
Sure. And can I nominate somebody else for Geek of the Week?
Oh, sure. Normally you defend me.
Don't leave Shawn out though.
I just wanted to move it on. And this maybe this is too early. Maybe you didn't want to talk about Damar Hamlin right now, but I kind of want to nominate everybody that was on Twitter last night, or the vast majority of Twitter last night regarding Damar Hamlin. I don't know why I can't remember his name. It's that COVID brain that I have. I was really intrigued watching Twitter last night because I feel like, and maybe this is cynical me, a lot of people are out there kind of putting out their well wishes, which is nice. I don't know why you do it on Twitter. Like he's going to go through and read
probably
out
checking
tweets.
it in the back of the ambulance. What else is he going to do?
That feels a little bit, what's the phrase that you love, ML?
Narcissistic?
No.
Shawn-tastic?
Virtue signaling.
Oh, I hate that phrase.
And then you have all the...
I hate that phrase too.
All the Twitter doctors pointing out what happened to the guy. So if you didn't see it, he's a defensive back for the Bills, makes a tackle against Bengals wide receiver in Cincinnati, got up after the play and immediately collapsed. He had a heart attack. Cardiac arrest. They did CPR on him on the field for about 10 minutes, got his heart going again, put him in an ambulance, got him to the hospital, stabilized him. He's now intubated in a coma as he's recovering from, whatever it was that caused the heart attack. So you have virtue signalers on Twitter. You have Twitter doctors who, of course, know everything about his medical situation. And then you have the people that just decided to bring the vaccine into it for whatever reason. That's why it happened. And it's just so fucking annoying. And then you have people that set up GoFundMes in his name, which are not legitimate. It was the worst of humanity on Twitter last night.
Speaking of online scams, I should warn people, if somebody's offering you $50 tickets to see Michigan State and U of M at the Breslin this week, that's probably a scam. So be very careful.
Especially if they're wearing a leopard print hat.
I would never let them go for $50. In fact, I wouldn't sell them. I'd go myself.
Are you going to that game?
I do not have tickets. I missed my opportunity to buy them because they went that fast. And I'm very, that's why Hunter Dickinson wasn't my Geek of the Week, because I'm afraid that if Michigan wins, then I'll look like Hunter Dickinson claiming a victory before the game is played.
I didn't think I'd be at the game. I thought I would likely be in Los Angeles for the Michigan, Georgia, or Ohio State title game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Back to Hamlin, Ralph posted on Facebook there that Skip Bayless should be the Geek of the Week, because Skip Bayless even tweeted out last night, like, why are they canceling this game? This game is very important to the playoff race. He's not wrong, but, somebody basically died and then was revived on the field. I don't know how many of those guys were into finishing that game last night.
Skip Bayless.
Oh,
so let's talk about this before we get to room 7609, because I think we've put an appropriate space between the geek and the tragedy. But Skip Bayless, for what it's worth, has been a piece of shit forever. He's been a troll. He's been a guy who just immediately goes,
it's made him very rich,
to that tender spot. And that's right. It's very obvious what his strategy is, which is let me be the provocative jerk. Mm-hmm. And he's made a fortune. Now, why Rob Parker, who also tends to do that, but is, I think, a far better human being, has not made a fortune doing that. I don't understand why Skip Bayless gets away with it, and Rob has got to hustle from job to job and run a barbershop. But Bayless, when he was with the Dallas Morning News, was a barf bag. When he was with the Chicago Tribune, he's barf bag on TV. What bothers me the most about him is there's no possible way he could believe all the crap that he puts out there.
No, of course he doesn't, and I agree with everything.
It's a shtick. It's a cynical shtick.
It's very cynical. That's the best word to describe it. And I agree with everything you just said. However, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I think the tweet, and I wish we had it in front of me. I should have looked it up before. I don't think he meant how it looked. I think it was a poorly worded tweet. Because the end of the tweet, he says everything is irrelevant. So he was trying to say,
but it
was a stream of consciousness, which he ended with, it's all irrelevant. And I don't think that's what he meant. And this is somebody that I don't have any respect for at all as a journalist.
Maybe not, but he should learn how to use Twitter better because he knows what he's doing.
He's disingenuous in almost everything he says.
Here's the tweet. No doubt
laughing all the way to the bank.
No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game. But how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant.
Exactly. That's what the point I think he was trying to make, that last clause.
But it stops at but how. I mean, you just postpone it and figure out another day to play.
I don't think he
guy
even
died
meant
on the field
but,
and was
I don't think
revived.
even the but how, I don't think he meant they shouldn't stop it. I meant like,
how do they
this is
schedule
going to
it?
be this is going to be complicated, but it doesn't matter because all that matters is this guy on the field. That's what he was trying to say.
That's fine.
And did it to me.
That's fine, but how many people
And
were
I can't believe I'm defending him because it was such a poorly worded tweet.
This was a half hour after it happened. Is that what people are thinking about? Is how are they going to reschedule this?
No,
you just do it.
Oh, I'm
just
sure
think about
all the people who had wagers on the game were losing their mind. They didn't give a shit about who lived and died. They're wondering what it's going to do.
Well,
to
it's
their
also
bet.
it was also fantasy football championship in a lot of
God.
week.
What was interesting, and I don't want to make this about Skip Bayless, but he tweeted that and then later realized how people were taking it and then said, no, this is what I really meant. And then there were a lot of people that said, and I was surprised at this. I actually like this because I have no respect for what he's done and how he's made his money.
You're quite clear on your feelings on Mr. Bayless.
But it was sort of nice to see a lot of other people who are not fans of his also say, hey, I've stuck it in my mouth on Twitter before too and tweeted out something. It was just the wrong word was in the wrong place in the sentence.
It really sucks though that Hamlin's family had to come out and say, hey, all these GoFundMes that are out there, these aren't legit.
They're fake.
Do not donate it to him. Here is the charity that he really supports, which is helping. I
My
believe
son told me he raised his one raised like
$3.7 million.
Yeah. Well, he told me $2 million, but that was only like midnight.
It's up to $3.7 million for his charity.
That's amazing.
And with our donation, they're going to get to 4. So
here's the thing.
Oh, but
if we could just wrap this up, thank goodness. Oh, geez.
I think
Let's just go. Just do it.
That's what you have to say to me?
I think what Shawn is trying to
Shawn's
say
ready to move on.
is if it took a man almost dying to show Skip Bayless's humanity, it was worth it. Is that what it was?
No,
Is that how we're ending
I'm not
this?
trying to say that at all. I'm trying to say
Okay,
Mark's
good.
talking about all the toxicity on the worst humanity and how annoyed you are with Twitter.
But even the
But
nice.
the other side of that is that
We're not talking about Hunter Dickinson. We moved on from that.
That a lot of your fellow human beings gave $3.7 million last night in a matter of a couple hours.
You're right. But it was annoying to see. I don't know. Maybe this says more about me, but it's annoying to see all these people kind of, express. They don't. I don't. Never mind.
But how about for those that actually give the money, right? Then you're backing it up.
Those are real people. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not just
so you can
someone
focus on that too. So
to
it's not
comment.
all just toxicity and messy soup.
and jumping in on the hot topic of the day just to, I don't know,
Yeah, because
say something into the void.
that's what you're doing.
Like
That's
I'm
what we're
doing now.
That's what we're doing on this podcast. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's what I'm doing all the time, Shawn.
Every day.
Sorry. Anyways.
So I will say before we
Yeah, what the
depart
fuck?
that the last time
He's got a partner on another show in this network that makes his living similarly. What are we talking about?
What are you talking about?
I thought we might have Happy Shawn, but we're seeing the rage that led to the death of Betty
brown
Jean.
people are coming in from Texas. Yeah. Oh, don't get me started.
A little more
please.
than that, but yeah.
Well, to stay,
Please don't get started on that.
to stay on topic for a second.
God.
The last time something like this happened that I'm aware of was when Jiri Fischer, the Detroit Red Wings, essentially died on the ice. They did suspend that game, which was appropriate, but of course they have 82 games or 81 games. So yeah, but I was there. Shawn, were you at that game for the Free Press?
I don't remember. I don't think it was at the game. I remember being at the press conference after the next day or two. Yeah.
So I was there with a friend of mine, Bill Burdett. We were watching the game. And then Jiri Fischer goes down, and we're like, what? We were sitting across from the bench. I mean, on the other side of the rink, but you could see his feet sticking out of the ice, and they run the crash cart across the ice and everything. And it was a very dramatic moment. Everybody was shocked. Nobody knew what was going on. They were working on him for a long time. And this was before people really texted. So I didn't have a notebook or a pen with me, which at that time was rare. So I had to run to the concession stand and buy a souvenir Detroit Red Wing pen set for $15 or something ridiculous like that, which I did expense. And then I had to take notes on the back of my ticket and whatever paper I had in my wallet about what was going on and call it into the Free Press for the news side, because this was bigger than a sports story, just as this situation in the Buffalo game was bigger than a sports story. And I found out later that by coincidence, Jim Schaefer was also at the game, sitting somewhere else, and was also calling in notes. But that was an absolutely horrific event. I mean, it seemed that we had watched a man die in front of 19,000 people. I mean, do you guys remember that? And
I remember.
Of course, I remember. Chris Pronger got hit and then fell, got back up and then fell down. The same kind of situation.
hit by a puck, or did somebody run into him?
Oh, that's a good question.
But that was like hit him in the sternum,
Yeah,
right,
it
where it
did.
stopped his clock,
Yep,
and
yep. Same kind of thing.
From a coverage perspective, were you watching the coverage at all last night after?
No, I was in the air. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't get home till after midnight. So.
And Ralph just mentioned too the Chuck Hughes thing, and I'm
did
like,
that game continue? Does anybody know?
Yes, when the Lions. I mean, Chuck Hughes is the only NFL player to die on the field. 1971 at Tiger Stadium, the old Tiger Stadium. I believe they were playing the Bears. It was funny. I was talking to my dad about this today, and he goes, "Yeah, they finished the game." I said, "I know that," which, a lot of people are like, "How could they have finished the game then?" And he goes, "There's like 2 minutes left," and he goes, "The Lions could have tried to score, but they just wanted to go home naturally because the guy was just carted off." I think he was dead as he hit the field because that was a genetic thing.
Who won that game?
Do you believe we finished?
The Bears did. The Lions.
Believe they finished the game though?
Yeah, but that was my dad's point. Was like there was like a minute left. Neither team was going anywhere. They just kind of wanted to just move on and be done with it. I mean, I hadn't fact checked him. He could be totally wrong on that, but it is interesting because remember after 1963 when Kennedy died, was it Tagliabue? Was he or whoever the commissioner was? So that
Roselle,
was the biggest,
right?
Oh no, it would have been Roselle.
Roselle, thank you. Yeah, I confused the time frame on the two.
Pete, yeah.
Yeah, and how that was their grave mistake was going forward and playing that game after the president was killed. And so you would think they would be a little more aware of that in 71. If a guy dies on the field, like, okay, let's just wrap it up and call it a day in a game that doesn't matter. Last night's totally different. First quarter, game does have implications. I was surprised it took them that long to call it, but,
Yeah, it says Hughes was taken off the field in an ambulance, but was later that day pronounced dead at Henry Ford Hospital, age of 28.
Yeah, and Henry Ford had to pay his widow a lot of money because they misdiagnosed him a month earlier or something.
Yikes!
And that's what's interesting
about the game was
about
played to its conclusion.
Hamlin. Those guys have the best medical care, and they are constantly monitoring them for any abnormality. So that guy would have been dead if he was just walking down the street and got hit in the chest. If that's indeed what happened.
Well, nobody would have been around. Yeah,
exactly.
Well,
but he has the best medical care and quickly.
Well, it's not just the best; he's just got medical care immediately.
Yeah,
that's
people that know what they're doing too. So,
but most people who are in position to drive an ambulance or be in the back of an ambulance,
no, you're right,
know what they're doing.
I mean, the team doctors and the team trainers.
Yeah, most doctors know what they're doing. What are you trying to say?
That he's very important to the NFL, and it's a big investment, so they always have the best doctors around.
I don't know about the best or not. I just know that they're medical people that are competent that are right there. And that
all right, fine. Every doctor's great.
I'm not saying every doctor's great, but just you're acting like there's this weird tiered system out there that if you weren't,
I think there is.
If you got hit in any ER in this entire southeastern Michigan, if you took that same and you were right next to an ER, you would live too.
Well, sometimes there's just nothing they can do. For folks who remember my friend and colleague Ron Savage. He was a super fit guy, actually a former semi-pro football player. He had a heart attack while he was at the fire department at Milford because he was a part-time firefighter. He fell right next to his colleagues, and he had the Widowmaker. There's nothing they could do. So whether you're the best doctor or whether you were Dr. Death, sometimes when your number gets called, there's no recourse.
Well, when you say the Widowmaker, you're talking about the artery that feeds blood to the heart, and the only way to do anything about that is to unclog it. And that takes the fire departments, at least I don't know that they all do now, but there's a drug that will do that. But you got to be in an ER to get there.
Right, right. But I mean, and
that's only a fairly recent, that's 20, 25 years that drug's been around.
Yeah, there's been, in fact, I played hockey with a doctor who says he was one of the leading advocates of administering it because you have to give it within 2 or 3 hours of the stroke because otherwise the damage is done. And you also run the risk of it's almost like flushing your pipes that if it's too big of a force, then you blow everything apart. So it's, there's a decision that has to be made under a very, duress because you have to make the decision quickly. You have to, what are you going to do? What are the consequences?
If your heart doesn't get blood at all, then
Yeah. turn out the lights. But
unless you can unclog quickly within a fairly quick amount of time, unclog it.
Last night, I had not had my phone blow up the way it blew up after that happened. Just people wanting to talk about it, see that was the big live event, and we're inundated with so many bad images, from war, just on the news, not to mention on the internet. Just we see a lot of death and a lot of bad things, but to see it live in a football game,
I didn't.
A guy who's super healthy and running around, and then that happens. It's just, I think that is just a shock to a lot of people.
It is.
Yeah. No. Well,
sure it is.
The thing with Jiri Fischer, who never played professional hockey again, he became an executive, and I believe is still an executive with the Red Wings. He years later, Fox 2 sent me to a Red Wings fantasy camp, and he came out and skated with us. And he poured the goals in on all these ankle benders. And one of the guys on the bench was like, I don't think he knows that we're not professionals. So he recovered and is living a full life. I'm sure he'd probably be thinking about retirement around now if this hadn't happened or a couple of years ago. But his story ended probably as well as you could expect. And we hope the same thing happens for this guy from the Bills. By the way, Gary, who's watching on Facebook, says the Widowmaker is not the same as a heart that has stopped. I'm not a cardiologist. I'm more of a neurosurgeon, so I'm going to defer to others
Twitter,
on that.
The Widowmaker is what feeds blood to the heart,
Uh-huh.
to the heart itself, right? So,
and we did have a friend this year, Susie Sanford, who was getting ready to take a trip overseas, and she had some sort of block. She didn't feel well and went to the doctor, and they immediately said, "You got the," and she's doing well. But all of which is to say, this was not really our purpose in bringing this up. But if your body is sending you signs, don't be the tough guy. Men in particular are real bad about saying, it's just indigestion. You need to listen to your body, and you need to go get help. And I was working at the Free Press one day all by myself in City Hall, and I had this pain in my forearm, and I thought, it's just like a carpal tunnel thing, and and it's just really, my fingers are stiff, and I think it was a holiday or something, and I noticed I had like this bright line going up my forearm, and I didn't think too much of it, and I came home, and I was in my early 30s. I didn't have much experience going to doctors and stuff. And Teresa said, you need to look at that. I think you have an infection. And I said, no, I think it's not that big a deal. She just made some potato leek soup. I remember it was delicious. And I said, I'm really hungry. I'm going to have this soup. And she said, no, you're going to the ER. And I said, no, I'm going to eat this. So we compromised, and I called my doctor, and he said, you can have that soup, but it may be your last meal. And so I said, okay. I went to the ER. They immediately started pumping me full of these antibiotics that your arm burns. They're like so heavy duty. And I was in the hospital for 2 or 3 days just because I had a spider bite or something that I itched, and it got infected, and it was going all the way up my arm, and it was going to go into my chest. If I had been a single dude, I'd be dead. I never would have made it, because I just said, whatever. I would have gone to bed, and boop, that would have been it. So take it from some idiot who somehow beat the devil here with the help of his wife.
But a handsome idiot.
It's these things are subjective.
I mean, well.
And being narcissist,
I
I probably agree with you, but I'm also afraid to say it because I'm insecure.
Certain forms
like
and
most
lines.
very good-looking people.
No, there's certain forms and lines we can all agree on that are sort of objective when it comes to beauty, and you have
Skip
it.
Bayless.
And you have it. Yeah.
I love how you made the Damar Hamlin thing about yourself, though. That was great.
It's just the hat. No, I'm just trying to save lives, just like those people who got out there.
Just trying to save lives.
When is he? Is he not?
Out of here.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Well, this is awkward. In a show in which I've repeatedly been called a narcissist and somehow made the death of or the near death of a football player and the near death of a hockey player somehow about me. This week's selection in room 7609 is a band that I saw the other day. But this isn't really all about me. It's just, I swear, it's a series of unfortunate coincidences. But this is the Detroit Legends Electric 6 playing Danger. Danger. High voltage.
Fire in the disco. Fire in the Taco Bell. Fire in the disco. Fire in the gates of hell. Don't you wanna know how we keep starting fires? It's my desire. It's my desire. It's my desire. Don't you wanna know how we keep starting fires? It's my desire. It's my desire. It's my desire. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we touch. When we kiss. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we cut. When we kiss. When we touch. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we touch. And when we kiss. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we touch. When we kiss. When we touch. When we kiss.
Doesn't sound very new wavy. I'm just saying.
Well, they're kind of a melange. There's sort of a dance band. There's sort of a disco band. There's sort of a rock band. A little new wave in there, but and they really aren't from.
They're just a great band. Period.
They're not really from the new wave era, but I wanted to play them because they are a Detroit band. They really got their start playing
because you saw them, so you can talk about yourself at the concert.
As I pointed out before, I don't really think I'm that important. It just turns out I am.
You said you were a neurosurgeon. What do you mean you're not that important?
I work on brains.
What I love, listener, can I just say this to the listeners, please? What I really love is that when it comes to the Room 7609, you show a lot of gray, you show a lot of curiosity, you show a lot of nuance, and then when it comes to everything else, you don't. So what? So what?
That's a great point.
What gives? What gives?
Because music is just to be enjoyed. It doesn't decide the fate of people. If there's a guy in a band who
a football game doesn't decide the fate of people.
So
either.
does it speak to a different? Does music somehow fire different synapses in your brain? Does it speak to a different part of your brain that opens up this other interesting, messy world?
So if there's a leader of a band who is a vile human being, I really don't want to consume their product. It bothers me.
You can't separate the art from the artist. That's interesting. Have we ever talked about that on this podcast?
Too much, yeah.
But if you're a vile human being and you're misusing tax dollars or you're abusing people, I don't have to decide whether or not I like your product. There's no dilemma there for me. You're just a piece of shit that needs to be flushed. It's a lot simpler.
So Mike,
Not always. I mean, I just asked the people in Warren about their mayor.
What band is he in?
Well, I'm just saying, he does a lot of good things for the people in Warren, and they like him and keep electing him. But he does a lot of really bad things and says a lot of bad things.
Yeah, Mayor Fouts does some very questionable things, and
With money, not only just with the tapes and what he said.
Oh yeah,
but the people of Warren love him because of things he's gotten done for the city.
right. So that's a little trickier one. But there are other people out there who, quite simply, are doing horrible things and are betraying. Where they're charged criminally. That's not such a great
Kwame
issue.
Kilpatrick.
Or name the council person. Or. Yeah, Sean's looking for the bell. Or Lee Chatfield, the Speaker of the House, whether he's guilty of any of the potential criminal charges that are out there. I mean, the guy had an affair with his little brother's
which guy?
Wife, Lee Chatfield, former Speaker of the Michigan House. I mean, there's not much gray area there for me in that one.
You mean if you have sex with your brother's wife?
Yeah, I think
there's no gray area.
That's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, am I being wrong here when the guy who's looked up to you your whole life, his wife also looks up to you because you're having sex with her? I mean, that's wrong.
Well, there's no gray area for Sean. He thinks it's totally cool. Based on last week.
No, I don't.
Sean is.
I don't think that's totally cool at all.
What if it's consensual and they were in?
Well, you sort of assume it's always consensual, right? I mean, not always, but you assume like that. Something like that's consensual. I don't think that's the point.
Here's Sean saying,
if it's not, then it's criminal.
Here's Sean, who's murdered his wife, saying it's okay to cheat. So I mean, I'm kind of getting mixed signals here.
Yeah, no, I
still don't understand how you're serving a life sentence, but you're also sitting there with us. There's all kinds of.
I don't think you want to sleep with your sibling's partner. You
just don't think that. There's no certainty. I mean, that's kind of.
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, you're definite though. I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, there we go. Whew, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
We are slowly forming some boundaries here for Mr. Windsor. So this is it's a process. It's a process, but we're going to get through it. But Electric Six played at the Magic Bag on New Year's Eve, played a great show, and it was amazing that they were in town because the rest of their tour dates are in Europe and Australia. I mean, they're a local band that's way bigger anywhere else in the world than they are here. But they, we thought we'd change things up a little bit. We thought we'd play a song that might satisfy Sean. I don't know if we...
No, I like that song. And then, now you've gotten me thinking about movies where part of the plot line is the spouse is a sibling and they're married to the wrong sibling and then they end up with the other sibling. And yeah, so who knows? Maybe there are circumstances out there that where it works out. No, you got me to thinking about that, because it's usually in movies, though, right?
Yeah. If anybody's seen Sean's sex movie, it's 1,000,000 Shades of Grey, and there's no nudity. It's all hugs.
No. So what you're saying is you stay in miserable relationships no matter what all your life. That's what you're saying.
It's not what happened with Lee Chatfield.
No, I'm not. I didn't.
So off the top.
I didn't know we were talking about Lee Chatfield. Sorry.
Well, I
thought we were talking about Kwame.
He just went back to the Electric Six.
I thought we were talking about Kwame Kilpatrick. Electric Six. That was great. I'm glad you went.
I wonder how Teresa feels knowing that Sean thinks we're in a miserable relationship.
No, I'm not saying you are.
I'll let her address that herself.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying you. No, that's not what I mean.
Well, I'm just saying.
You want other people to. You're not. You're in a happy.
So now we're back to our advice stuff. But
you're in a happy relationship, so it's easier for you to pass out judgment on other people's relationships.
Maybe he's talking about this relationship between you two.
I would just say that if you're in a relationship,
it's sexual. I mean,
if you're in a relationship with someone and you've made a commitment to them, and it's not working out, and you're that unhappy, maybe you should disentangle yourself from the relationship.
No, you're right.
Instead of banging the hell out. And
that's true.
The piece of advice that we're talking about, which we discussed in our last issue, or our last episode, was not so much that the relationship was, because I think we've all had that. I didn't know my relationship was so bad until I met somebody who reignited this whatever. You know, mainly it happened to young men when they're dating and whatnot. But this was a guy who was on a trip, cheated on his wife with somebody else's spouse, and then comes back and is saying like, "Oh, it's a big deal." You know, it's like, you know.
Yeah, no, that was not cool.
That's not somebody saying I'm trapped in a loveless relationship.
No, that
and there's
wasn't
no escape.
Completely. That was not cool at all. What's the big deal? Yeah, he shouldn't have been doing that. Where I've always
Shawn is a disingenuous mountebank.
No. Where I've always come from is that, you know, and maybe it's just because I grew up and my parents went through a little bit of that, and one wanted to work it out and the other one didn't, and then always regretted it. And so I come from a place where I would like people to work through it if they want to. I'm not saying that should be the absolute, obviously, but there are plenty of people that do work through stuff like that and stay together. And I'm not saying it has to be for the kids either, but so that's kind of a little bit where I'm coming from as a youngster, kind of having one parent on the other side of the world and seeing them once a year and missing the shit out of them.
And that's what new wave music is all about. It's about exploring human relationships. But since we're so far off the rails that the coal cart is tipped upside down, the caboose is on top of the dining car, let me just shove us a little further off the rails. I'm not saying that when you do that you should suffer the death sentence. I'm just saying that if you're in a situation that isn't working out, that's the wrong way to handle it. And if
absolutely.
And if you think that,
no question.
If you think that this is a line that you shouldn't cross, perhaps it will help people not cross it. And if you do cross it, then folks should do what they feel is best for them next. I'm just saying that some of us feel that if you cheat on us, you can go to hell. And so if you say, I'm sorry I cheated, let's go get some counseling. It's like, I kind of told you that wasn't going to happen, so don't do that.
No,
let's not test your theory.
And you need to know your partner, I guess, in that way, right? Because you're right. There are for plenty of people that if you cross that line, that's it. And then there are plenty of people that work through it. So
yeah, no, that's fine. To each their own. I'm just saying, when we offer advice, it's our own personal advice, and mine is you better sleep with one eye open.
What are we talking about?
Was that Morrissey again?
That's Kirk Herbstreit.
Okay.
That was Herbie.
More wisdom from Columbus.
Yeah, so the Electric Six, great band.
And I think that's all that needs to be said about that. Yes, absolutely. They're fantastic. So we ended last year, just to let you know a little bit of behind the scenes about how this show goes. We make money from our sponsorships, which is why we're very grateful to David Hall and Luke Nowacki, and we encourage you to patronize their fine businesses. But when we get donations, and sometimes when we sell merchandise, and there's a few things here and there that put a little money in the till, we spread that amongst ourselves at the holidays, and that is only possible because people like Dennis and Bryant and William and Nancy all generously donated to the show, as they did in December, and we are grateful for those donations, which made our holidays that much brighter. If you would like to help us start 2023 on a strong note, Mark, do you have any suggestions? Is there a resolution we can offer people?
To donate?
That sounds pretty good to me. Shawn?
MLSoloDetroit.com.
Yeah, I think that's nice. Or donate to people that actually need it too.
Okay, no more going to Shawn. Joe needs this money. Joe Zuber is desperate for some influx of cash. So you just go to our website and there's a little button there. You click it and you can give.
That was for you, Mark.
It was so deflating.
That was for you, Mark.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
So anyway, so there's that, but we do appreciate it. And
just keeping it real.
One of our goals this year is to reopen our merchandise store. But I will tell you,
that's not my fault.
I was going through the garage, and we have lots of hoodies and hockey jerseys and T-shirts and long sleeve T-shirts and beanies and all kinds of stuff. If you're interested in what merch we have, send us a note at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. You can also give us feedback on the show at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. That is a great place to let us know what you're thinking, and if you need something, maybe we can help you out. We also would like you to consider making a resolution to give us a call at 313-288-9070. That's Butterfield 89070, because we'd love to hear your voice on the show as well. Here's some feedback from Jessica, who says, I really enjoy your column. This is not a cheating message. This is about my work in the Free Press. The recent ones seem to miss a few big ones, though, and she's referring to my column about 2022's, I'll just say, in the spirit of Shawn, politicians and public officials who showed their humanity, maybe in an extreme way.
You didn't have time to write a column, so you put a greatest hits together list.
No, I will tell you, I spent...
Man, you're coming out swinging this year.
I spent days...
Wait, is it a new year?
I reviewed every newspaper that was published in 2022, so I didn't miss some people. And when I went through it, it turns out I missed a ton of nitwits, and we had so many, I had to leave a ton of them out. But Jessica thinks I left some out who should have been in there. Palm Beach oligarch Dan Gilbert's privately owned Q-Line nonprofit bilking us for $85 million cash. That's the subsidy to make sure that people can ride the Q-Line for free for the next 17 years. You may be hearing more about that in 2023. She also is not impressed with some of the deals that Bedrock has been getting. And, of course, I did write about how city council members who received generous donations from a PAC controlled by Mr. Gilbert did support his plan to get a big tax abatement from the city of Detroit. And here's one that, Mark, I'm hoping you can help me out with. Jessica says that I should have mentioned someone that Charlie LaDuff mentioned on the No BS News Hour, Tracy Kornack, who she says is a high-profile Michigan Democratic Party head honcho who committed insurance fraud. Now, I know a little bit about state politics. I don't know everybody in the game, but I've never heard of Tracy Kornack. Do you know what she's talking about?
Yeah, I do. I feel like she was the treasurer for the Michigan Democratic Party.
Okay.
And she has been accused of, let me just say, odd billing practices and power of attorney regarding a long care facility. It's a very complex story, but she does not look good. I don't think she's been charged with anything. But yeah, I mean, just Google her name and you can read all about it.
Where's the music?
I will.
It ran out.
I will check up on that. And Jessica's also concerned about a couple of stories that also concern Frank, who says, do you plan to write an autopsy of the Tucker contract and how the public was duped when it was offered in October 2021 to now the full scope being revealed that Ishbia and St. Andre are only paying for $19 million, maybe $24 million of the $95.5 million deal. I went back and read the Red Cedar message board posts, and people involved feel that they're being duped. Now, this is a story that broke over the holidays. We did not discuss it in one of our recent episodes, but I got into quite a spirited discussion online with a lot of Spartans who are just hating my guts because they feel that there's no big deal here. And just to give you a little bit of the backstory, the Detroit Free Press sued the University of Michigan State. I was trying to say the University of Michigan, but I'll just say Michigan State University, for under the Freedom of Information Act because they wanted to get a copy of the contract that Mel Tucker signed, I guess the expansion, if you will, that made him one of the highest paid coaches in college football. The Free Press prevailed, and those records were released in December, and what they revealed was that Matt Ishbia, a former walk-on basketball player who is the big guy at United Wholesale Mortgage.
It's also buying the Phoenix Suns.
Buying the Phoenix Suns, right? And this guy, St. Andre, who's a big tech guy, had committed a certain amount of money over a certain amount of years to help pay Mel Tucker's contract. Now, under the law, they can't explicitly direct that the money go towards Tucker, but it was pretty clear that they said, we want this to go to the coach, and the university is going to apply it to the coach. I have been arguing for months on this show that while I think these salaries are outrageous and I am dead set against them, the one thing about the Tucker contract that made me feel a little better is that it wasn't going to cost taxpayers anything. And in fact, we're on the hook for $70 million. Now, were you guys also under the impression that these guys were going to pay all of Tucker's contract, or that they were just throwing money in the pot?
I was. That was how it was sold to us.
I didn't necessarily assume that.
So David Harns, who does Spartans Illustrated, went back and looked at the press releases when Tucker's extension was announced.
Oh, that's a good deal. That's a good idea.
Yeah, there was no mention of who was going to pay the money. There was actually no mention that this money was going to be provided by boosters. And it just said, we've extended the contract. These are the terms. So the university just laid out the broad strokes. I, however, contend that they left the impression with the public that don't worry about how much we're paying them because it ain't coming from us.
And how many years, right? It was
10 years,
10.
at 9.5.
So 7. So
it still seems like an odd contract, even if it was just the $7 million for 10 years.
So 7. So
Well, he was already getting
7.1.
5.5 or something.
Yeah, so it's a $2 million raise out of there,
over
and
10 years.
Over 10 years. And here's the other thing too. And yeah, this doesn't bother me as much as what I didn't like is that they didn't just release the information.
Yeah.
That's what irritates me because it's a public institution. But beyond that, it's not out of the general education fund. It's a completely different pot of money. It's out of the athletic department and the football program.
It's pretty self-sufficient.
Which is self-sustaining. Yeah, so it's not taxpayer money at all.
Well, that's a whole other discussion, though, because you could argue, and I would argue, and I know Mark has a good argument against this, that if the athletic department turns a profit, then they can subsidize the rest of the university in the same way that, governments never make money off public transportation, but we do need to have it.
They do. Remember a friend of the show, Kalina?
Yeah.
She got to go row there because the football and basketball programs make money. That's how it works.
But that's all within the athletic department. You're saying the athletic department is separate from the general fund.
The funds are different, but they're still students.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not arguing that the revenue program.
ML's saying that it could go back to the other side.
Yeah, I'm saying that you could become.
But then you just have basketball and football. Because how would you pay for all those other sports?
Well, you could stop paying coaches $9.5 million.
Maybe hockey,
I would suggest.
Right?
I think hockey probably loses money.
I just think they have too much money when they're paying all these associate athletic directors or redoing facilities that are
no, for sure,
over the top.
But then the facilities monies actually do come from donations, right?
Sure.
But so,
which are going to dry up with NIL.
Yeah,
maybe this isn't Mark's argument, but this would be my friend Raj's argument, which is, when the football team is doing really well, you do raise a ton of money for the rest of the university because everybody feels good about the alma mater and they write a check for the capital campaign.
There's no question there's a correlation there.
So I do see
more people
that.
apply.
Yeah.
Kids apply, which is weird. But.
Yeah. So Raj will tell you about the differences in Alabama and Clemson since Saban and Dabo got there. So I understand that argument, but
it's the most visual part of any university, really. They're either the basketball team or their football team.
Yeah. So I still feel, though, that Michigan State committed a sin of omission by leaving the impression out there that these boosters were paying the full sale. And there's a lot of Spartans who are really mad about that because they think that makes me, like the guys in Ann Arbor just attacking us for anything. But this could have been easily cleared up, as Shawn said, by releasing the damn contract, which is what they should have done.
Why did they fight it?
And as a Spartan,
say, hey, we're giving them a $2 million raise, and a couple of boosters are going to put in another couple of million.
Why pay lawyers to fight it?
Yeah, I don't get it.
And that's money that probably does come out of the general fund. But
got it. Yeah.
But the thing that drives me crazy about this is something I've written about in the past, which is, and I guess I'm relieved that the contract wasn't this outrageous, horrible giveaway. Now, there's a couple of weird terms in there, but this is, Michigan State. On matters of open records, they remind me of certain teams on the athletic program where they keep losing because of self-inflicted wounds. This never had to be like this. Those of us who were perhaps because of our own stupidness misunderstood who was going to pay this. None of this had to be this way because if you just disclose the records, we'd all know what the deal is.
The bigger question is, if you care about the football program, does Mel Tucker want to be there?
Are you hearing that he doesn't?
Does he want to be there? Does his family like East Lansing? Does he like to be there? You know what I mean?
That's a statement that came out of left field. Sounds like you've heard stuff.
Is he going to the Broncos?
No, not necessarily. I just,
Or Carolina.
Oh. Just kidding. Well, he knows the South. He coached in Georgia.
I just wonder.
So this is another thing. I'm not
10 years, right? I mean, that it's in the context of the 10 years.
And I'm not going to cry for a guy who's getting $9.5 million a year. But the other thing the university did was they put a lot of pressure on Tucker now because this gives people who want to tear down the program a chance to say, oh, your guy's not worth $9.5 million. Look at this terrible season he had. And is there a dirty deal here? And what's really going on here? They exposed Tucker to questions and scrutiny that were absolutely unnecessary by being so stupid about this. And again, Mel Tucker's a big man. I think he's ultimately going to be a coach that's worth the going rate, as obscene as it is. But this whole stonewalling has been, it's unnecessary, and it caused so much Sturm and Drang.
We don't know if Tucker wanted to stonewall too.
Yeah, it would have been nice if he had a say.
If you're talking about how it hurt him, well, if he really felt like it was hurting him,
just put it out there.
He would have said, hey, release it.
Yeah, and I have no insights on how he thought, but one of the things that Harns reported is that it was actually Tucker who, after the deal was announced, said, I want to thank these boosters for supporting the program. So he's the one who kind of pointed the finger at Ishbia and St. Andre. Now, whether he did that to say, don't hate me because it's somebody else's money, or just because he wanted to show gratitude towards some generous benefactors.
Or maybe both, yeah.
I don't know. I tend to think he had other things on his mind at that time when that happened. But you know, listen, when Michigan's right, I say it. When Michigan State's wrong, I say it. Fortunately, I don't have to say Michigan's right very often. Unfortunately,
that was just waiting for that.
Unfortunately,
over here.
I do have to say very often that Michigan State is wrong, and it's time for that to change. So, Frank,
we'll see if he's worth it. By the way,
hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's the bigger question.
Well, again, this is going to sound like a shot at Harbaugh. It's not to be meant as a shot at Harbaugh. For 5 years, Harbaugh was one of the highest paid coaches in college football and did not have the results. Now he's worth every penny. In fact, you could argue that Harbaugh is underpaid, because if you have people like Nick Saban making what they're making, and Dabo making what he's making, and Tucker making what he's making, and they don't have back-to-back Big Ten championships and CFP appearances, then Jim Harbaugh is underpaid.
From a financial point, even before the year 2020, he was worth it.
You're talking about bottom line. I'm talking about results on the field. But yeah, he brought that program back from the Dave Brandon disaster.
Yeah. And probably increased donations too. You got ticket sales.
Other than the 2 and 4 year, and then he had one other 8 and 5. 8 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
He's
10-win seasons.
Yeah, he's 10, and now he's taking it to a slightly different.
But ML has high expectations for Michigan's football program. That's good. That's where we want to be.
No, they're not. I'm just saying third place in the Big Ten East is not what anybody expected. That's not what he promised.
Second place in the Big Ten East can get you in the conference or the college championship playoff. So
now we didn't.
So bad.
We talked about that a bit on Saturday, but you felt at the time we were talking, and I think I said, let's see how the game ends, that Ohio State did not deserve to be in the Final Four. Do you still feel that way?
Well, I'm surprised there wasn't more conversation as to why did USC get penalized for playing in a championship game, right? They lost the second time to a team they had already lost to before. Still 2 losses versus Ohio State's 1, but they won their division, or not their division.
Oh, that's just because Ohio State was ranked higher all season, right?
Sure. But, they didn't even make it to their championship game. So if USC would have said, we're cool, we don't want to play this championship game because we're sitting at number 4 of the playoffs, would they be in?
Yeah, so Ohio State was ranked higher and then lost to Michigan.
Yeah,
which
fell
was
behind USC.
Higher ranked, and then USC was lost to...
they were penalized
Utah. Twice.
Yeah,
they're penalized for playing an extra game. That was my whole point. I mean, Ohio State backed into the championship,
but they had the same number of wins, didn't they? Or did Ohio State have one more win than USC?
They would have had the same number of wins because they would have had the same record till USC lost in that championship game to, once again, the team they had already lost to in Utah.
And then USC went on to lose again.
If you want to
Utah went on to lose.
By the way, if we're going to do the whole transitive property thing, what we often do in college football, Kansas State beat TCU and then got trucked by Alabama. So did Nick Saban?
There you go.
Remember the year they beat Michigan State badly in Florida? Not the playoff game, but the
it was Citrus.
Yeah. No, it was a regular season game. Wasn't
it was a bowl game, but it was the Citrus or I was at the game. I wish I could remember. And Alabama probably had the best team that year too. I remember Tennessee walloped Michigan one year when they had nothing but pros all over the place. because they got.
I remember that.
You remember that?
55-17.
Yeah,
It's awful.
and we were like, oh yeah, Tennessee should have been in the back then it was a BCS game, right?
Look, I mean, if you're going by who the best team is, I'm sure people would have thought Alabama should be in the top.
Well, if 2 years from now we'll have a 12-team playoff,
they didn't make it to
Alabama would have been in, and then they would have been, right? So
I just think it should be 3 teams in Alabama until Nick Saban retires. I'm very
Georgia.
I'm very comfortable with that.
I mean, for years it was Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. It just seemed like that was the foregone conclusion. So it is a good thing that other teams are getting in.
But
it just shows these conference championships can only, not only can they help you, they can really hurt you now. So why bother playing in them?
Yeah.
Well, any game you play that you lose is going to hurt you. But
yeah, but they're playing the extra game is my point. If USC would have said, we're cool. We don't want to play in a game. We don't want to play in the championship game. We'd rather play in the college football playoffs because we're ranked 4 right now.
And then
that wouldn't work because the Big 12 always got screwed because they didn't have a conference championship.
Once the 12 playoff format comes in, then too,
it's a moot point.
The bowl games are going to be. I mean,
they're pointless.
Yeah, they're already sort of are, right?
They're dumb.
The Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl was played yesterday. I didn't even know about it. That's the granddaddy of them all, and it's like, oh yeah, okay. And it sounds like it was a good game. Utah is a great team, and they got beat by Penn
quarterback
State.
went out with an injury, and it was game over then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened to USC.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think injuries
against
mattered.
Utah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but every team goes through.
This was a lot of not every team. The teams that win are usually get the lucky breaks with injuries. That's often how it goes. Anyway, sorry for all the sports. The podcast of sports and murder, apparently.
Well, there's only one murderer here. We all love sports, but not all of us like killing people.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I'll just refer to the public record, sir. Shawn Windsor, life sentence. But
what are we talking about?
So before we go, I think it would be good to share some resolutions that we've made. And
we have to.
Shawn, you've been teasing them all show. Why don't you start? Since you have
I don't have any resolution. I mean, I have a resolution for me. But I don't have anybody for anybody else.
You said you had a resolution for me at the top. Roll the tape.
Oh, my Lord.
I didn't say I had a resolution at the top. I said my resolution. I said, I can't believe you want to ask that you think you have the right to have New Year's resolutions for other people.
There's suggestions. This is not mandated.
You know what I mean?
This is a whimsical moment.
You're sitting here talking for weeks, months about the arrogance of the maize and blue, and yet, we get a text last night. Let's come up with some resolutions for other people. I mean, come on, dude.
That could be the resolution. Don't be so hard on Wolverines,
it's not for me to say that to you. You're
killing a segment.
Oh, my God. My resolution is... just to be so yesterday on the flight, I'm coming back from Arizona and I'm sitting next to a gal, little older,
disobeying orders and now chewing up clock.
She's in the middle seat and she just takes over everything, takes her shoes and socks off.
Gross.
Cross country flight, and I was like, yeah, cool, just do your thing. And that's my she had a sleeve on, like a medical sleeve on her arm, so I wondered if there might have been some circulation or maybe a wound or that she's trying to heal or whatever. I couldn't see that, but she wants to spread out and take whatever. In the past you might have been a little more like, what are you doing? But no, it's a new year, and you're just like, hey, let's let her have her thing, and she can drink her wine, and I'll just zero in on my little space here.
It's a terrible person.
We'll be okay. So that's my
very
resolution.
self-involved person.
She was, but I don't want to, just give her the space to do that. This is my resolution.
So
I'm going to be more libertarian, like Mark. That's my resolution.
So Shawn's in Guantanamo. He's like, you want to put this guy's head in a bucket of water? Go ahead. Maybe he wants to breathe water. Maybe he wants to breathe air. I don't know. I'm just going to sit here and read my.
That's interesting that you equate somebody trying to get comfortable a little bit to torture, but
it depends what their feet smelled like. As you said yourself, it's a cross country flight.
Oh my God, I got in an Uber last night and the smell was brutal.
So now you're saying I shouldn't be concerned about the smell on a cross country flight. You're in a car for 3 minutes and you're getting
it was about 35 minutes, but it was
you
tough.
roll the window down.
It was tough, but this driver was moonlighting in Uber, works in the Jeep factory in Toledo, and I got the life story. It was great. You know, the pressure of every 2 minutes a car comes along and getting the wires just right before they put the motor in, or they would scrap, and it was really interesting.
The car smelled.
It did. It was awful, but that was
causes him to.
But if you start listening to somebody's story, you can move your brain and maybe
Did you roll the window down.
Smell it a little bit. You can.
That's pretty big.
You can distract your senses if you try to engage and see another human being. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe you should have just said pass when we said resolutions. Pass.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't have anybody for anybody else. That's your department.
Mark, are you going to wade into this quagmire, or shall I?
I'll play the game if you want me to play the
Shall
game.
I thrash around?
Oh, it's a game now, huh?
It was it's kind of a bit, but yeah.
You wearing a Lions shirt. I love that.
What? Stop undressing me with your eyes.
But if you'd like to take that shirt off and drape it across a chair, he won't object either.
Exactly. Or take my shoes off.
Even if you have BO and a medical
It's
condition.
human body. It's all right.
That's what I want. I want less nuance. That's my resolution for you. Less nuance out of you.
No. Absolutely
that
not.
didn't last.
Okay, well, that's resolved.
Absolutely not. And besides, when I give you a little less nuance, you're like, oh, so there you go.
I do. All right.
No, man, that's me going. It could be.
I thought you had a resolution for yourself,
Myself? Too. No, it's the same one. I said not be as fat.
You're not fat.
Oh, yeah, I am.
You're
I need
supple.
to be more active. Because when I see things like a guy collapse on a football field, it's like, wow, that could happen to me any second.
You're not fat. You're supple and,
Supple?
Curvy.
What? Stop it. I don't want to hear. No, you're making it worse.
You're curvy.
That making it a lot.
Rubenesque. How about that?
God, it gets worse with every description.
What was Seinfeld where Elaine was describing Jordan? She says he's cuddly.
Yeah.
You know, I think
you're snuggly.
I think you're PHAT, Mark.
Oh, to use a '90s term, I love it.
Thank you.
Well, at least it's not the '80s.
I think it's a compliment in any era.
Don't you?
And do you have a suggested resolution for me?
Oh, for you, brevity. I don't know. That's the first thing that popped in my head.
Okay.
Or a clock, maybe.
Okay. See, I'm already following it. So I was
true. Better than Shawn did.
So my resolution is to try to not get so worked up about what other people are doing.
I don't believe it.
I'm off to a rough start.
I was going to say today's terrible.
I was hoping to make it to day 4.
I don't believe
before
it.
I broke it. But
thank you.
But for Shawn, I would say if you could be less judgmental.
Okay.
That would be a good one.
Okay.
And Mark, I would invite you to come to East Lansing with me. That
would
resolve to join us.
That's a resolution for him?
To resolve, to find the resolve to visit.
Oh,
East
fine.
Lansing
Okay.
And be my guest at the Michigan State football game.
I saw him be judging every word I say because you might take it the wrong way as being arrogant.
So he's going to judge, but he wants me to judge less?
Mine was more ironic for you because
I know. But I was trying to be sincere, thank you.
Okay, so here's where the brevity kicks in. We got to get out of here. What's coming up? I listened to a couple of back issues of the Shawn and Carlos podcast, which featured some guest hosts. When
Pros.
Shawn was out
Some
of town,
pros.
and when Carlos was out of town, and it left me feeling like there's a gap in the podcast spectrum, or maybe a new format for maybe the Mark and Rieger podcast.
Yeah, I actually suggested that on the last Carlos and Shawn show.
But strictly just to replace the Shawn and Carlos.
I did. No, for sure. I did. Yeah.
That's an easy one to do. It's fun.
Yeah, you and Jeff should replace us. It'd be great.
They would have
plenty of time.
They would have more spirited debates about Harbaugh than we have on this show. Because I wondered about Rieger, who's been calling out Harbaugh for years, prematurely to my mind, how he would react when Michigan beat TCU and then was crowned national champs. And I think to his delight, even though he's a big Wolverine fan, that didn't happen because he would have been eating so much crow that he would have exploded. Like Mr. Creosote.
That's the delicious kind of crow, though. No?
Yeah. Tasty.
No, I was glad I was wrong about
sous vide crow
when I thought Verlander was done. I'm glad I was wrong.
No, not you. I mean Rieger.
No, I know. I'm just saying in general.
Okay.
So it's a crow. It's a crow that's been smoked for about 12 hours with a little kiss of hickory.
Hey, I wanted Harbaugh blown out after the COVID year too. I'm glad I was wrong about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm not wrong about y'all.
Glad I'm wrong a
Both
lot.
Awesome, smart, wise, handsome individuals, and my resolution is to acknowledge that.
Narcissistic, judgmental, harsh.
What was that 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Intolerant. Yeah,
acknowledge that every week, and to try to be more of a libertarian like Mark, and more of a decisive maker.
Very backhanded.
Like
This is like one of those long exchanges that ends with "not." It doesn't undo it. You've shown your hands.
I've been telling you all you're handsome for years.
I know.
So it's not
ridiculous.
Did we leave anything out? I think
we got to plug the other shows. That's what we got to do.
Well, I think you plugged Charlie's show earlier. It didn't sound like an endorsement exactly.
Oh, the All BS News Hour?
There's the No BS News Hour. And of course, Drew and Mike podcast is scheduled to return is it today?
Today.
As soon as we get the hell out of here?
Pretty much.
Drew.
Well, I did miss having you guys in my ear on a regular basis, so we welcome the return of the Drew and Mike podcast, and we hope that a mention on this show will help boost those guys, because, they're trying really hard.
They are.
They could use. It
would be nice to have Drew back.
An influencer on their side.
Yeah.
So, well, we thank you for sticking with us last year. This is, I think, we're entering our 4th or our 5th year. This is episode 187, and we hope that each one will get better. And Shawn hopes that you'll donate generously to as many fake GoFundMe accounts as possible. Mark and I would be happy to take some money at the only real beneficent fund.
What?
We'll have that figured out by next week on the Soul of Detroit. Until then, I was going to say, Carlos, take us out. It's been a while. Cyrus, take us out.
Can you dig that?
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Be sure and be with us again next week when
M.L. Elric
says...
Somewhere in the cold, persistent rain that made the city itself seem a thing of evil,
Shawn Windsor
disappeared. And it was my job to find her. But before I did, I found
Mark Fellhauer
and a devil